So, as well as a glute med release, which is on this channel, I'd like to offer you a tensor fascia lata or a TFL release. It's a ropey little muscle. It gets really tight sometimes. If you find that when you're holding your legs up in a supine tabletop position, like we do for a lot of our core work, and your thighs are fatiguing really quickly or your hip flexors are fatiguing really quickly, sometimes releasing the TFL can help with that sensation. And also if you sort of get quite achy through the fronts of the legs or down through the sides of the legs where your ITB is, TFL release can really assist with that as well. So, to find the TFL, some people will tell you, if you're wearing jeans, it's just behind where the coin pocket of your jeans is. And that's a really good place to start. If you want to actually feel the muscle at work so that you understand it, and understanding that it's an internal rotator, so it'll tense up when you turn your thigh bone inwards. So if you're pivoting on your knee and turning your foot out, your thigh bone's rotating in. If you've got your hand on this bony little bit at the front of your hip, the most sort of bony protuberance, what a word, you just slide your fingertips down a little bit until you find a place that feels a little bit tenderness. And then you find that internally rotated position of the thigh bone. You do that a few times. Move your fingertips around until you feel a muscle tense up when you do this. I've got it there. And so you want to keep your hips kind of facing forward so it's a true rotation of the thigh bone in the hip socket. You're not kind of like twisting like this because you won't feel anything tense up when you do that. Cool. So once you've got your TFL, you know where it is, lie down on your belly. You can kick your right knee out to the side to start with. So that's your stabilizing leg. Keep your left leg long behind you. And then you take this ball and you put it underneath your body into the place where you were just feeling that little muscle tense up. So it's sort of toward the front of the hip, sort of just around a little bit further, so not like bang on. And then you kind of have to rotate your chest open toward the right side of the mat. So I'm facing you because to actually sort of feel into this muscle can take a bit. As when it's really tight, sometimes you won't get the sensation straight away. It takes a minute to open up. And then once you do start to feel it, you can take a little bit of movement, soften into it, put a little bit more weight down to your degree. Always listen to your body and start to breathe a little more smoothly. Once you feel like you've really got it, maybe you start to lower down to your forearms. You can slide your body a little bit further forward so the ball just kind of slides down a couple of millimeters, or you can rock back so that the ball rolls up a couple of millimeters and just sort of settle in here. So I'm going to say hold this one, don't hold your breath, hold the position for about minimum 5 breaths. If you can stay for like 10 breaths, sort of a couple of minutes, maybe even more if the sensation's really satisfying, then stay. And start to work on your breathing. So you breathe in through your nose, and breathe out through your nose. You might start to notice that the sensation, and you'll notice I call it sensation, not pain, even though it is quite painful. The sensation starts to shift, and then maybe you find yourself looking for the next spot. Maybe you're like, nah, I'm done, and that's all right. But maybe you're just kind of like rolling a little bit more around toward the outside of the hip. Maybe you're rolling that ball sort of across that ropey little muscle a few times and sort of looking for somewhere new that's going to give you some satisfying feedback. And breath comes back into it. Cool. From here, start to roll the ball down toward the front of your thighs. So I don't know, I should have grabbed my yellow ball, but you don't actually have to take it out if you don't want to. You can just move your body up the mat, and then the ball comes down sort of more into the quads, onto that most superficial quadricep, which is also a hip flexor, your rectus femoris. And then just little rocks back and forth. So not right down in the middle of the quad. I've still got the ball, it's not in my hip crease, it's not sort of in toward the groin or anything, but it's still up quite high on the front of my thigh. Couple of breaths here. Feel free to pause this video at any point if you're like, I just want to stay here forever. And then when you're ready, you're going to come on up off that ball, come on over onto your back for a sec, and then you just take a nice stretch through that left thigh. The way you're going to do this is to lie on your back, take your feet as wide as your mat, reach your arms up overhead and just let them fall onto the ground. And then let both knees fall to the right. And what you're looking for is a stretch through the front of your left thigh. So let the back of that left hip peel off the ground if that's all right for your lower back. Maybe you pull that left foot a little closer up toward the glutes. And then reach the arms overhead if you've taken them down to do that. You're going to feel the stretch probably more on your exhale as you let your belly fall in, and that's just to do with the position of the muscles and the bones that it attaches to, that they attach to. And then knees come back through center, gently release that left foot down and then bring the knee back up. Knees to chest, give yourself a little rock. And then come back up to a kneeling position and take it over to the other side. So you've got the TFL on the other side, and you just start to move, get a sense of where the muscle is. If you already know, then you can skip this part, come straight down onto your belly. If it's your right leg that you're doing this time, you're going to kink that left knee out into the half frog position, and then keep the right leg straight. Put the ball underneath where you think your TFL is, and then start to rock and roll around a little bit, turning your chest more toward the left side of the mat so that you can get a bit more pressure down onto the ball, just transferring your weight. And then you stay here for a good solid couple of minutes. A really cool thing that you can do with your breath here is start to expand on the breath out. So you'll breathe in through your nose for the count of 4, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out like you're blowing through a straw. In prenatal classes, we call it golden thread breath, and so it's almost a visualization, like your breath is this golden thread that you're just gently, wispily letting back out of the body. And then just breathing smoothly in through your nose. Gentle, steady breath out. Make a little O shape with your mouth like you're breathing through a straw. And release that golden thread. Maybe you're starting to look for another place. Maybe you're just sticking with that same spot, maybe working through layers of tissue. Just releasing, unsticking. And then from here, just take that ball down so that it's more on the front of the thigh. It's still up quite high, so think maybe like one of your palm spaces down from your hip crease when it's just sitting about there. Take a few breaths here, come back to that golden thread breath, blowing out through the little O shape with your lips, or you can just come into a really nice, steady, even 4 count breath in and 4 count breath out. So from here, take out that ball, lift your weight up off of it so you're not pressing down on it, shocking your body into that big sensation. Lie down on your back and take a really lovely stretch through the right leg. Feet as wide as your mat. Let both knees fall to the left. And then you maybe start to edge that right foot back off the mat further so you start to get more sensation. Maybe you reach for your right foot and draw it closer to your glutes, and that's going to increase the request for elongation of the tissues through the front of the hip and the front of the thigh. Just take a couple of breaths in through your nose. Really let your belly fall, soften your arms as you breathe out. When you're ready, just shuffle that right foot down away from your hip and then bring the legs back through center. Draw both knees to your chest. And you're done. Well done.